Hi, this is Gina Piscatelli with Madison College, giving you an introduction to Anatomy and Physiology 2. Please check on Blackboard first and look at the menu on the left. If you've registered for the course, you've got access to this page. And I'd like to ask you to click on the syllabus and textbook link. I will give you a copy of the syllabus when I first see you, but it's probably going to answer a lot of the questions that you have before the semester begins. So you can just download it and take a look, or you can print it. The format of this class is hybrid, so our lectures will be completely online, including lecture exams. Those lectures will be pre-recorded and there'll be a few to watch each week. And then the labs are in person, except for week 1. Week 1, there's a Monday holiday, and so we won't meet that week because the Monday lab students wouldn't get to have lab. And so the first lab during week 1 is something that you're going to be working on independently. You'll read the lab manual and you'll watch a few things online, but we'll go over it during week 2 so that you'll have the answers that you need. And I'll give you more information with another presentation on that specific topic. So if you look at the menu over on the left, you'll notice that the second block of links has my contact information, the syllabus and the textbook, a schedule for lecture and lab topics, which is included in the syllabus, but it's shorter because it leaves out some things that the syllabus has. And then there's a calendar of due dates and the exam dates. This is probably where you want to get started in trying to schedule your life before the semester begins. Then in the second block, I have information or items that pertain just to lecture, and that includes presentations, pre-recorded presentations. It also includes study guides for each lecture unit and some assignments that you'll do throughout the semester. Then down in the fifth block down here, or fourth block, I think, fourth block, is where I'll put lab content. Right now there's just lab presentations link. I've got a couple of items already in there for the first lab, which is a blood lab. You're welcome to go in there and watch those videos if you'd like to. Another thing I'd like to draw your attention to has to do with the fact that you can send anyone in the class an email, or everyone. So notice right here it says send email. If you're looking to form a study group or you have a general question, you can send any student in the class an email with that link. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and give you an introduction to the syllabus. So I hope you're as excited as I am about Anatomy and Physiology 2, because that's when we get to actually talk about organ systems, the ones that you're probably interested in. We got to do the muscular system and we did the skeletal system in detail in A&P 1, but there wasn't a lot of physiology. And in A&P 2, there's more physiology, how the body functions. And so here's some interesting tidbits for you. Did you know that every day your body makes over 100 billion blood cells? That's a process called hematopoiesis, and we'll talk about that later. And then if we look at the digestive system, which we'll be doing about halfway through the semester, look at how much saliva you make every day. Up to 1.5 liters. That's a lot. And 3 liters of gastric juice. And then the urine volume varies depending on the fluid content of your body, of course. But what's typical is 1.5 liters of that. So that's just like volume of things that our body makes. In addition, what's amazing about the human body is that the kidneys are able to make a fluid, urine, that can vary its concentration depending on the status of your blood. So, and your interstitial fluids. So the urine can be hypotonic, meaning very dilute, or it can be hypertonic, meaning very concentrated, compared to your body fluids. And that's going to be based on homeostasis and trying to keep the right concentration of materials in your body. So the kidneys can make either. It's really cool. And a lot of people think that in the respiratory system, our rate of respiration is based on our need for oxygen. And that's true to some extent, but the way that your body actually regulates how often and how deep you breathe is due to the concentration of CO2 in your blood and in your cerebral spinal fluid, in your CSF. So we'll learn about that kind of stuff as the semester goes on. All right, next I'm going to take a look at your syllabus. So if you have a copy of that, you might want to refer to it, or you can just use this slide presentation and take notes on it. So this course is 4 credits, and as I said in A&P 1, it's the time commitment required is more like a 5-credit class. So you want to plan your life accordingly. I guess the good thing is you don't have to pay for that 1 extra credit, but you do have to spend quite a bit of time outside of class on this particular, on this course, this content. What you're going to need for this class is a textbook for the reading assignments, and it's the same one that you used in A&P 1. You'll also need a laboratory manual, and that's a manual that I created, had photocopied, and it's in the bookstore. So you can only buy that through the bookstore. I think they can ship it to you, though, if you order it online. And then we'll rely heavily on your email and your college Blackboard. So, and the college Blackboard, because that's how I'll do all virtual and live sessions throughout the week. And I'll get to the format, the weekly format of the course in a second, but you're going to want access to Blackboard. Okay, my contact information is on this page. It shows you my email address, which is also on Blackboard. That's probably the best way to get a hold of me because I'm never in my office. Since it's a hybrid course, I'm either in the lab or I'm at home recording lectures because I can't record in my office. And I'm going to hold office hours in person, though, throughout the week, particularly on the days that we have in-person lab. So Monday before lab, Tuesday before lab, and Wednesday after lab, I will be available in my office, which isn't very far from the lab itself, so we can talk about whatever you need to talk about. And then I'll have virtual office hours always every week through Blackboard on Thursdays, late afternoon, 4 to 5. And then if you need a different time, we'll do so by appointment. Okay, so this is the schedule. Lectures, they're all online. They'll be pre-recorded, loaded up onto Blackboard in MP4 format. The slides will be available to you so that you have them if you want to refer to them and make notes on them or print them out as you watch. There'll be about 1 to 6 pre-recorded lectures for you to watch each week. Each one I estimate to be 30 minutes or less. And then I'm going to hold virtual lecture times. This won't be a different topic. It will basically be a question and answer session. So it's not really required, but it might be helpful for you. This will be done through Blackboard as well. So whoever shows up will get to dictate what the topic is going to be, which lecture it was that they got confused on. Maybe there'll be a lecture assignment that's coming due that we need to talk about, but I'm going to do that 3 different times throughout Thursday, hopefully meeting a time that everybody can attend. And then my office hours, of course, will be in the middle there, 4 to 5. The labs meet Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. There's 2 labs on Monday. There's 2 labs on Tuesday, and there's 1 lab on Thursday starting at 11:30. Most of my labs are afternoon or evening, and we're fully enrolled. So I guess that's working for some people. I want to let you know that if an unforeseen conflict comes up in your life, and let's say that you're supposed to attend Monday at 2 o'clock, you're welcome to come later that same day or to a different lab Tuesday or Wednesday if you need to. I just ask that you let me know so I can make sure there's not like 50 people in there. That would be a problem, right? But a couple of extra won't hurt anything. And the lab is in Truax room C3435. So these are the topics that we're going to cover this semester. The circulatory system is a big one. We spend like 4 weeks on it. First we do blood, then we do the heart, and then we do blood vessels. It's pretty important. And then you'll get the lymphatic system, which is short, and the respiratory system, which is sort of short. And that'll be your first unit exam will just be the cardiovascular system, circulatory. Your second unit exam will be lymphatic, respiratory, and digestive system all together. And we spend more time again on the digestive system, not 4 weeks, but it's like 2.5. So that will be on your second lecture exam. And your third lecture exam will be the urinary system, immunity, and pH, and the reproductive system. Although pH I probably will take out and just test you in an assignment. I haven't decided yet. But anyway, the third unit looks big, but there's 2 items that are kind of smaller. We don't do genetics in lecture. We do genetics just in lab, and that happens towards the end of the semester, provided we have time. I don't want to overdo it. I know you guys will have a lot of different things happening at the end of the semester, but just some rudimentary genetics would probably suit you well for where you're headed in your careers. Now, the course does include a dissection of the cat in lab, and you have to participate. It doesn't mean that you have to do the cutting, but you will have to look because the tests, the lab practicals, will involve having an actual dissected cat on the lab bench with structures labeled, and you'll have to look at them and identify or name them. So you do have to be prepared for that. I think it's fun, but I know there's a squeamish factor to it. I want to make sure everybody feels welcome in this class and that we treat each other with respect. These are hard times, and so maybe it takes a little extra patience that we have to find somewhere. But in general, this should be a safe environment for you, and I want to affirm everything that you accomplish as we go on. If we have an environment of ridicule, it's very difficult to learn. So we need an affirming environment. Also, as the primary instructor for this class, I'm kind of the course lead for this class. I think it's really important that we treat all of our fellow students with respect and use the preferred names that they would like. For me, my name is Gina Piscatelli, but I just prefer Gina. It's so much easier. Um, and I still consider that respectful. Um, we also would like to have debate in class, but respectful. And any of your viewpoints are welcome, and there is no stupid question. So feel free to ask questions. Okay, so at different times throughout the semester, you may feel more challenged than others. Like, let's say in lab, there's a lab exam coming up. I encourage you to use the biology learning lab, which is right across from where we meet for lab. There's models there. You can take your dissected cats in there. And so it's a good place to study, and you can talk and everything. Also, the Student Achievement Center, formerly called a library, has different walk-in tutoring hours and scheduled one-on-one peer tutoring. They set up their own schedule, though, at the beginning of every semester. So the best thing to do is to call them or visit their website, or you can email them and ask them, when is there a tutor available for A and P2, so that you know what the schedule is. And I'll probably do that as well. If you have any problems with your computer, you're encouraged to use our student computer help, and here's the phone number. This is all in your syllabus. And then if you run into difficulty with making it to class, or you kind of think you're over your head, or you need academic counseling in terms of what your career choice is, we have extensive counseling at the college, and I recommend that you call or email our counseling office, and they'll direct you to the right place, whatever you need. I also put some other important phone numbers down here: arts and sciences, enrollment services, which I'll talk about a little bit later. You're already enrolled in the class, so you won't have to call them for that. But if you decide you want to withdraw, or you have any questions about grade disputes or anything like that, you usually call the enrollment services. Okay, let's talk about what you really care about, and that is, what do you have to do throughout the semester, right? So throughout the semester, you're going to be assessed on your learning through lecture exams, which are take-home lecture assignments, which are take-home assignments. Those are 25 points each. Lecture exams, which will happen online, and lab practicals, which will happen in person. Each one is worth a certain amount of points, and your final grade will be based entirely on the points you earn during these assessments. There are no extra credit projects at the end of the semester. However, those of you that have had me before know that I build in extra credit points in every single assessment that I design. So the lecture assignments will have 1 extra bonus point in all of them. The lecture exams will have a lot more than that, and so will the lab practicals. Your scores for every assessment, assignment, or exam will be posted on Blackboard, hopefully in a timely manner by me. And this is our grading scale. It's the same one that I use for A and P1. So to get an A, 92. To get a C, 70. Those are the ones that people are usually interested in at the beginning of the semester anyway. And I do round up. So if you have 91.7, it'll be a 92 and you'll get an A. If you have 69.6, I'll round that up to 70. So here's a list of the different assessments throughout the semester. We have 3 lecture units, not 4. So there'll be 3 lecture exams, each worth 100 points. There'll be 2 lab practicals that are worth 100 points, and 1 that's going to be shorter, that's only worth 65 points. To make up that difference, I'm going to have some online quizzes. so that that rounds up to be the same as your lecture exams. Because students often find lab a little bit easier than lecture, so we'll make that 50-50. And then I'm going to give you lecture assignments online, and 6 will count towards your grade. Each will be worth 25 points. The maximum number of points you can get then would be 150 points. You may end up with, if you get all the questions right, you might end up with 156 points because of some bonus questions or something. Well, I can't give you 156. The maximum is going to be 150, and that has to do with the breakdown of how we decide what each type of assessment is worth towards your final grade. So I'll just convert the number of points you have into a percentage based on the total of 750. And here's what you need to earn an A, 690 points. What you need to earn a C is 525 points. So you've got that information with you in your syllabus, and you'll be able to keep track of what you've already earned throughout the semester. I also have given you this table in the syllabus, and it relates to, not so much that you can't just, keep track of your scores on exams, for example, but it relates to the fact that I'm actually going to create 8 lecture assignments, but your 2 lowest scores will be dropped. And so if you keep track of your lecture assignments, you can pick out the 6 highest scores and make sure I did the calculation right, at the end of the semester. You might like having that. I would if I were in your shoes. So these lecture assignments, for those of you that have had me before, you kind of know what they're about, but there's a number of students that haven't had me. These are take-home assignments. They're multiple choice questions, and they're designed to give you a sampling of what a lecture exam question would be like. I let you take them home or look at them on your computer or whatever by posting a PDF document. So there's 25 to 26 questions for each lecture assignment, and you'll have a week or so to work on it. I think longer generally, but a week or so to work on it. And then you submit your answers through a link in Blackboard. There'll be a separate link. There's a due date for when you have to submit your answers, and we'll talk about that. What's nice, I think, is that these are giving you this packet of, questions for a lecture topic. Allows you to work with other students on the material in a constructive way that hopefully will help you perform better on the exam. So the idea is for you to talk to your fellow classmates about these assignments, about the questions, and then enter your answers. I am not going to answer questions for you this semester. Last semester, we kind of got into that a little bit. This semester, I'm not going to tell you whether or not your answers are correct or incorrect before you submit them, at least not for the first 2. Okay, let's see how it goes. I really want you to talk to each other. Okay, so the extra 2 assignments above 6, those will be dropped when we calculate your score. And you have to submit the answers through Blackboard, not through email, and there's no makeup assignments. Okay, let's go down to lecture exams. Those will be administered through Blackboard as well. There'll be 3 different lecture exams. I have a calendar that shows you the dates of the lecture exams. Maybe the date will change slightly, but probably not. Each exam consists of multiple choice questions and a few true-false questions. You can't use any material while you take this test. That means No photocopies of diagrams or drawing of diagrams that you've created on a big sheet of paper. Nothing in your textbook. No students, no phone stuff, not the internet, smartwatches, textbook, nothing. The only thing that you can use while you take the lecture exam is an index card, 3x5, where you've handwritten notes. On both sides is fine with me. I don't care. Okay? So that you can do. I call them comfort cards because sometimes students get comfort out of making it and then they don't really need it when they take the exam. Okay, also to help you prepare for the lecture part of the course is a packet of study questions for each lecture exam. So I have those posted in two formats, Word and PDF. PDF, it's easy to print them. You don't have to worry about anything getting indented funny. But Word is nice in case you just want to type in answers. Like while you're watching a video, you might want to just type in an answer. Okay, so they're intended to help prepare you for a lecture exam. Make sure you've studied all the different items that you should. But also, they're there to help you keep track of what you're responsible for, so you don't miss an entire, chapter or something like that. Okay? Okay, lab practicals, we've all been through A&P 1, so this won't be a huge surprise to anyone. All lab practicals consist of short answer questions, and there's stations around the laboratory with the questions posted next to a model, a diagram, or a dissected specimen, and you're going to carry your answer sheet from station to station and write out the answers. No comfort cards are allowed on lab practicals, and no word banks are provided. Okay. In addition, spelling counts. So you have to spell the answers correctly, particularly terms. I'm not going to take off if you accidentally spell the word "and" wrong, right? But the anatomical terms have to be spelled correctly. If it's correct but misspelled, I'll take a quarter point off. However, I won't do that more than 8 times. Okay, so 2 points, which works out to be approximately 2.5%, but 2 points maximum. Let's hope that's not really a big issue. It probably won't be as much this semester. We don't have the skeleton, we don't have muscles. Things are a little bit more familiar. Okay, a word about attendance. Lab attendance is required and it will be recorded. I'm legally obligated to do that for the college. I have to record when you're there and when you're not. But I don't award points for attendance. So while that may seem frustrating, it's kind of nice because if you do have to miss, you don't have to worry about, getting docked points. All right. So, but I encourage you to attend anyway because your final grade will really depend on how much you understand and how much you've participated in class. Also, just a reminder that any virtual live session or lecture on that Thursday is not required. It's there for your benefit in case you want to ask me questions in real time about the lecture recordings that you've already watched. Okay, I think that's enough said about that. If you have an accommodation plan, due to needing assistance or special accessibility requirements, please share that accommodation plan with me as soon as you can, maybe during the second week of classes since we don't meet the first week, but the first or second week. So if you've already been approved for testing accommodations, for example, that means you've already met with our Disabilities Resource Service. They've made a plan. I need to know about it so I can develop the appropriate adaptations for you. Please let me know as soon as you can. That's all I'm saying. When we are in class, it would be helpful if you muted your cell phones and stuff, but we're going to see each other but once a week, so it probably won't be a big issue. Okay, what else do we have? I'm mumbling to myself here. Just a minute. There is an important statement about academic integrity. I don't want to bypass it on purpose, but yet I think it's a little bit understood that when you are taking any kind of college class, you're expected to behave according to a certain code of conduct and exhibit academic integrity. That means you have to behave in a respectful manner towards fellow students as well as your instructor. But also it means you can't submit any work dishonestly. So that includes things like plagiarism, copying test answers. It just shows a lack of respect to the other students that have worked hard. Since you are going to work on those lecture assignments together, it's probably worth saying that if you need my assistance in any study group you're in, I'm happy to give it. And what I'm thinking of is if a student doesn't participate in your discussion of the lecture assignment, but just writes down all the answers that you come up with, that's not fair. They should participate, right? They should come prepared and participate. I've never had that problem, but I might. And if so, please come to me and I'll try to help you work it out. Okay, there's a certain time of the semester that's better to withdraw than others, depending on if you want to have a W on your transcript or not, or whether you're interested in refunds, right? So I don't know the dates because they change every semester. And it also depends on when your lab section is. So it's not going to be the same for every student. So it's very important that if you are thinking about withdrawing from the class, you want to contact enrollment services and find out the exact date up till you can drop to, the date until which you can drop and still get an 80% refund. What they do is calculate when 11% of the course is completed, you can still get an 80% refund. For some reason, 12% is this magic number. If you withdraw prior to 20%, you get a 60% refund. Okay. After the 20% completion date, though, you'll get a W on your transcript. And you can withdraw up to 90% of the course being completed, which goes all the way into like week 13, maybe even week 14. So, you have a long time to decide and stuff. And there's a lot of reasons to drop the class. I'm not trying to be, foretelling bad news or anything like that. But I just want you to have that phone number in case you need it. Okay, here's some information about how I suggest you prepare for lecture and lab. Some what to do things. In all cases, you're going to need to consult the syllabus schedule of topics. And in that schedule of topics, there'll be some assigned reading. There'll be a list of recorded lectures for you to watch. You'll make notes on your study questions. And then finally, I suggest that after you have watched all the lectures, you make a list of questions to ask me or maybe your fellow students. Okay, so that's how I recommend. I would first, if I were doing it, I would read my textbook first and then watch the videos. Some students like to do it in reverse. So whichever way works better for you. Then for lab, it's very important, once again, that you consult the schedule for the week. So the schedule of lecture and lab topics. You want to know what lab topic you're going to do for the upcoming week. Do this ahead of time. And read the appropriate section in your lab manual. In many cases, there'll be some questions for you to answer before you get to class. I call them pre-lab assignments, but they're not graded or anything. Just check your understanding questions is what they are. So let's look at this schedule thing that I keep talking about, because that's going to help you the most. So I'm going to try to zoom in so that you can see these words better. That didn't work. Oh, it did work. Let's go to 100. Okay, here we go. Okay, this is the schedule of lab and lecture topics. And each block is like a week, 1 week, right? So here we have week 1. It starts on Tuesday, January 18th. And there are 6 different recorded lectures that you need to watch, okay? This is one of them, Introduction to the Course, and then there's 5 others. These are the reading assignments over to the right, chapter 17. And then down in the lab section, boy, that's really big now, isn't it? Hold on a second. Okay, I think the program has decided to behave now. Okay, so I don't think it's going to zoom in at us. On the right-hand side in green are the textbook readings that you'll want to do. Chapter 17 is the first chapter that we start with. And the pages or the sections of the chapter are listed for each of the lectures, each of the pre-recorded lectures. And this first week, they're really short lectures, FYI. Then when we go down to the lab section, it'll have a list of things for you to do each week for lab. Now, our upcoming first week, week 1, we don't get to meet in person. So you're going to do this stuff independently on your own. You're going to read the lab manual, pages 7 to 23, which is the blood lab. And then you're going to answer questions on these pages to the best of your ability. This is not an assignment that will be turned in. It's for you to make sure you understand what you've read and give you an idea of what would show up on a lab exam. It gives you practice, essentially. I always post an answer key, okay? I'm also going to create a lab presentation this time that you can watch that kind of goes over the blood lab, so you can watch it if you want. And part of the blood lab is blood typing, a blood typing activity. And I'm really bummed out that we don't get to do this in person. Maybe we'll find time to do it during the second week. I hope so. So we generally, I don't know if we're going to have time to do blood typing. We have a kit that we usually use. But I found this really cool link online that it's the exact same kit, and it's a virtual activity. So you get to drag a vial of blood and drop it into the wells, and then drag an antibody and drop it into the blood and see if a reaction occurs. And if it does, then that means the blood is positive for whatever that antibody was detecting. I'll explain that in a different lecture, but that's something that's pretty cool. I kind of like it. So, and then the last thing you want to do is prepare for the next week's lab. You know, it doesn't have to be done right away, but you want to prepare for it at some point. And the week after that is the heart lab. So if we go down to week 2, I'm waiting to see if it will do what I want it to do, and so far it doesn't appear that it will. Yeah, that's week 1. Here's week 2. There are, wow. Hmm. There are 5 different lectures, finishing up the blood and then starting the heart. And then in lab, we're going to start on heart anatomy. And if we need to, we'll pick up whatever you didn't understand about the blood lab. Okay? So hopefully this schedule of topics is straightforward enough. One thing I didn't mention are, what are those blue things next to the topics, right? So for example, where it says general structure and function of the circulatory system, well, I created a study question number 1, that asks you to kind of pinpoints the pertinent information for that topic. So it's a study guide basically for a lecture exam. And that occurs throughout the entire schedule. Then I have a separate document which is a calendar of due dates each month. It's posted on Blackboard individually, but it's also at the end of your syllabus, so you'll get a hard copy of this. So notice the first day of class is January 18th, and I have your first 3 lecture assignments ready to be posted and available to you on the 19th. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to have to do them all in 1 week. I just wanted to get them all loaded, okay? Your first lecture assignment isn't due until January 30th. And then your second lecture assignment is due February 6th. The third one is due the 13th. Okay, so I mean, you have definitely more than a week. And I also wrote your lab practical dates and your lecture exam dates on here. So the lab practical doesn't occur until February 14th. Oh, that's kind of mean. February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day. And if you have class on Monday, that's when you'll have it. If you have class on Tuesday, that's when you'll have it. Wednesday, that's when you'll have it. You need to take the test in your regularly enrolled section, okay, to make sure that the students are spread out and there's enough room for everybody. Now, when we do lecture exams, I'll also give you a period of time to complete an online lecture exam. You won't get to look at the questions ahead of time, but I'll post the lecture exam on a certain day and give you time to work on it. You only get to do it in 1 sitting though, okay? It's not like you can do some and then come back. You can't. It's in 1 sitting. But this way, not everybody has to take it on Wednesday. Maybe they have a busy day. They can choose Thursday instead. In addition, I usually break the lecture exam up into separate, smaller tests. So let's say for lecture exam 1, I split it up into 2 tests, right? Maybe I'll put the blood and heart together, and blood vessels and pressure will be in a different test. So if there's 2 tests, those you can take separate from one another. They don't have to be taken at the same time. And I'll talk more about that later, okay? So I hope this calendar of due dates helps you a little bit. I've figured out what you need to do for the entire semester. Okay, so welcome to A&P 2. That was a pretty long introduction. I hope you got something out of it. And I look forward to meeting you, I guess, during week 2 or through email. Thank you.